Hello, listeners. My name is Al.
And my name is Sophia.
Welcome to Rhyme and Reason. In today's topic, we will be talking about New Year's resolution and why we tend to break it. So, New Year resolutions are great, maybe for the first few weeks of January, but let's be honest, have you fulfilled any of your New Year's resolutions?
No.
Or do you know anyone who's managed to fulfill their New Year's resolutions?
I feel like people stick to New Year's resolutions for the first 2 weeks of the month and then just give up afterwards.
Why is it? What are the usual aspects that get in the way of our New Year resolutions?
Yeah.
Or as I like to say it, little lies that we tell ourselves to try to become a better person.
I feel like there's a lot, especially when you're faced with different situations, especially at the start of the year. There's a lot of unexpected circumstances that you didn't perceive will happen when you were making your resolutions. So when those happen, you're kind of caught off guard, and then you kind of break the cycle of actually working towards fulfilling your resolutions. Yeah.
So there's this thing. I'll be completely honest, and I will admit that I haven't completed any of my New Year's resolutions. Well, maybe.
But also, it's just the start. It's just the start of the year, so you have the rest of the year to do them.
Well, yes, but this one.
Yes.
I had this. I promised. Well, I told myself that I will be more active during 2020. Let's say, and the first half of the year, I was completely lazy. Like I had this. Probably I started working out around early July of 2020.
Okay.
And I guess having the PE subject on UPOU kind of helped a bit with that. And
yeah, because you have to track your progress.
Yes.
Like there has to be documentation that you actually exercised.
Yeah, it was motivating, right? I also had this back in 2018 that I promised myself that I would gain weight. That was delayed for 2 years, probably.
Gaining weight is still on my resolution list.
I gained weight in the first half of 2020. That's a 2-year delay on my New Year's resolution. One of the biggest lies that I've heard from people, my friends, mostly relatives, probably our quote, "This will be our year." Have you heard anyone say that as a New Year's resolution?
Yeah, I feel like I have.
It's like almost everybody said it, and then people promise like they'll be kinder to people, or maybe buy this thing they've always wanted to buy, but then just out of nowhere, COVID hits and pretty much everything just fucks up everybody's plan. How about you? What did you plan for 2020?
For me, I don't remember setting a lot of plans. It was more like the biggest thing that we were looking forward to last year was graduation. I feel like because senior high was introduced, it's like it prolonged the process of actually graduating. So you can say that graduation is long awaited. So when we got the news that the graduation was cancelled, it really sucked because I personally haven't experienced wearing a cap and gown. Like I've only seen that in movies. So I don't know, maybe once I graduate college. But
well, hopefully we will get to that.
Yes. But it's sablay for UP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So still no cap and gown, but that's okay. And that's pretty much it. I feel like what helped me still survive 2020 was because I didn't really set expectations that high. And so when a COVID and quarantine happened, I just kind of, go with the flow, kind of accept what comes in a sense.
But what do you think gets in the way of people's New Year's resolutions?
Okay. I've listed 3 reasons.
Yeah,
3 reasons. So the first one is setting the bar too high, and the second one is and then the second one is not planning smaller steps, smaller manageable steps, and the third reason is the realization that you actually have to put in the work to do it. It doesn't happen just because you want it to happen. You actually have to show up and do the work to achieve it. So the first one is setting the bar too high. I feel like we are all guilty of this.
Yeah, I am. Honestly.
Yeah. See, especially just for in a normal day-to-day situation, you plan a lot of things. You write down lots of things on your to-do list, and once the day's over, you go over the things that you actually accomplish, and you realize you only did 2 things, and you then beat yourself up about it because you feel like you didn't do much. But in reality, maybe 2 things is all that you can do that day. Like maybe those 2 things took up most of your time. That's why you weren't able to accomplish it. So it's important to expect that you will sometimes do less than what you'd expect to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wired to always being preoccupied with different things and not being able to just take time and breathe throughout the day. So that's that. We kind of set the bar too high to the point that it kind of backfires, and then it discourages us more, actually. So once we see that we're not being productive, we kind of abandon the rest of our resolutions because we think that,
just give up.
If we fail at one thing, why even try to do the other things if you can't even do this one thing right? So that's the first one. I mean, what's your experience with that, with kind of overloading yourself and then realizing that it's actually pretty unhealthy and unrealistic?
Well, in terms of overloading, I guess I haven't experienced that much because I'm used to always moving throughout the day. I don't like resting at all, aside from taking naps. That is, everybody loves naps.
Yes.
All throughout the day, I try to finish as much as I could, whether it's for myself or for the family, which is often chores and all of that. I have a few friends who have these doable New Year's resolutions. Like, I have a friend who says she would run or jog for 3 times a week, something like that.
Yeah.
And then she starts for the first week, maybe, and then she comes to me and she complains that her whole body aches. So then she just stops, and then she just wishes that she didn't stop, and then says that she feels lazy. She doesn't know how to start up again, and I enjoy it, like running. So I don't get how you would.
Yeah.
How that would be something to be lazy at. You run, right?
Yeah, I do. But your friend, the example that you have, I haven't jogged in almost 2 weeks now, and I'm trying to get myself to jog. I've been exercising still, but not concentrated much on jogging. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions.
During the week, I jog three times a week.
Oh wow.
So I think we can do something about that.
Yes. You need to help me with the motivation.
Yeah, that's another thing that I listed on there is lack of motivation. For most people, they live alone or they live with strangers, and New Year's resolution need motivation. For me, it's always been my family. My dad jogs or walks on the treadmill every morning, early morning.
Oh wow!
It's 5 a.m.
Dedication.
Dedication. That's what people need to complete the New Year's resolution: motivation and dedication. So, how about you? What's the biggest motivation you think would help you complete your New Year's resolution?
For me, the biggest motivation is achieving the goal. I kind of visualize myself achieving the goal, and it inspires me to keep pushing and knowing that I still have a lot to go through. It also is a nice challenge for me. I like a good challenge, so I enjoy testing my limits and going beyond that. And I feel like since you mentioned motivation and sticking to the New Year's resolution, I will just include my take because it's important to have motivation. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah. It fuels you. It kind of jump starts you to doing it and starting something. But motivation will fade over time. Like one day you have motivation, the next you don't, and it's perfectly normal to lose motivation or lack motivation. But I remember, I forgot where I gained this knowledge, but it says that yes, you need motivation, but discipline is what helps you stick to whatever you're doing. Yeah. So even if you lack motivation, for jogging, for example, if you lack motivation jogging, that's totally normal. But what sets you apart from other people who would just not do it if they lack motivation is you having discipline. Discipline is you sticking to your resolution or your goal no matter what prevents you from doing it, no matter if you have motivation or not. Discipline is kind of like a habit, like a lifestyle. So it's something that it's something that you have to commit to, and you have to, for me personally, you have to mentally prepare yourself, like even a day before. If you plan to jog tomorrow, tell yourself the night before that, hey, you're gonna jog tomorrow. So whatever circumstance that prevents you from going on a jog tomorrow, you have to push through that because you made a promise to yourself that you're going to jog, and you have to do it no matter what. So that's discipline that kind of carries you through like waves of lack of motivation.
Yes, but unless it's raining.
Yes,
you can't be
rain
out when it's raining.
Yes, stay indoors and don't get sick. It's better to not jog for a day than to be sick and
not jog at all for a week.
Health still matters, but in a different way.
It's like so for me, I sort of turned it into a routine for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will jog at 5:45 a.m. and I have an alarm. Aside from my morning alarm that would wake me up, I have another set alarm that's written that it's time to jog, and then I have I have my equipment ready right there beside the bed.
So you won't make any excuses.
Yes, and sometimes I will I almost stopped. I almost didn't jog. When was this? On Wednesday, just the last Wednesday, because it was so cold and I really wanted to sleep, and I just couldn't bring myself to sleep as much as I wanted to. I wanted to jog, and it's like an impulse, I guess.
Yeah. Plus, you have to excite yourself. I feel like you should be excited to do it too.
And going outside to jog is honestly better than staying inside, because
Yes.
Everybody's inside almost the whole day, and I need the outside air.
Yeah, outside air is better.
So here's the one last thing on the list. It's reality itself. We never complete New Year's resolution because of everything that's unexpected that happens.
Exactly.
For example, like I said earlier, COVID has prevented a lot of New Year's resolutions. Just like for me, I wanted to work while I was studying.
Yeah.
The thing is, I almost got this job. I just needed one last interview, but
COVID.
The interview was postponed. The enrollment was postponed. Everything was postponed, and until it just got to the point that when I received the email to come in for the last interview, I was too scared to go out because COVID. And honestly, better to not have money. I mean, I live with my family, so for me it's okay. But a lot of people need to work.
But can I just say, like you said, a lot of people didn't get to do their resolutions for 2020 because of COVID. But I think it's important, I mean, from my standpoint, I think it's important to recognize that a lot of people made their resolutions like during the pandemic, and a lot of people stuck to their resolutions because I feel like a lot of people got inspired because they have so much time on their hands,
or they had no choice.
Yeah. I mean, they made do of what they could do at that time. You're just stuck at home, and you're obviously like looking for a way to spend that time. And also I feel like last year taught us a lot of life lessons, and a lot of people reflected and focused on the growing themselves, and also the people around them especially. So I think it's not that bad, but 2021 starting fresh again.
Here's a small tip. This podcast for making, I've had this plan for so long that I've just needed something to make it possible. So I actually wanted to start a podcast back in 2019, and the only problem was I didn't know how. I didn't know who to have the podcast with, and honestly, I did not like talking to myself because I don't know, because it just wouldn't feel like a podcast if I just spoke to myself and explaining some things that I just list down. So the end of 2020, when we started planning this, that was sort of a motivation. It motivated me to actually plan it and make it possible. And here we are at the beginning of 2021.
I actually also wanted to make, I feel like I mentioned this before to you, Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to also try like doing a podcast because I talk to myself all the time, and I feel like not to brag, but I have lots of like insights because I'm an observer. Like, I observe a lot, and I people watch a lot, so I feel like I see their lives through a different lens, and I want to kind of share those realizations with other people because I feel like it's really nice to know different perspectives and kind of go to the root of why people act this way or why we tend to do this, and so I feel like that's an enjoyable part of being part of this podcast.
What was the last reason that you think gets in the way of New Year's resolutions?
Okay, I feel like I went through the last one a little bit when I listed it. But so I'll just go over the second one because I feel like I haven't talked about that yet. And it's planning small steps, small manageable steps.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for New Year's resolutions, we tend to, overcompensate or like list very vague goals. Like, for example,
Beachbody.
Yes. So, for example, exercise more. Like, what does more mean? More as in like putting more weight to the weight that you're carrying, or like more time on the treadmill. So you need to define more. Again, with the goal setting, an important basis is the SMART acronym. So it's specific, measurable, attainable, SMART. And then it should be realistic and time bound. So I feel like a lot of people tend to, it's the new year, so a lot of people are hopeful and excited of what else they can do, what else they can achieve this new year. And so it's understandable that a lot of people like tend to make unrealistic goals. So for me, I like to set the main goal and then break it up to small steps, small achievable small achievable parts. So for example, to exercise more, and I made a breakdown for different goals per week that I have to hit, so that I can say, hey, I have progress. It's like I can actually see progress. So my overall goal, for example, is to do 40 push-ups in 2 minutes. So the first week, since I haven't faithfully done my push-ups, I have to start like a smaller proportion. So 15 push-ups, and then 20, and then 25, and then just kind of work your way up to your goal, and don't rush yourself, because you might, it's important to take advantage of the motivation while you have it, but it's important to pace yourself, because if you overwork yourself, you're going to burn out, and burning out will completely erase your progress. So make sure that you pace yourself, and if you know that you can put on more load, then make sure that the load you're putting onto yourself will be manageable enough, but is enough to challenge you, so that you can see like more growth and improvement on your part. So that's the example that I want to say.
Based on that, on what you just said, I at the end of 2020, I was running for 4 miles in under an hour, maybe 50 minutes, 45. Like that.
Oh, that's fast.
And
that's a lot.
Just last week, around Monday, no, not Monday, Friday, the previous Friday, I managed to run for 5 miles in under an hour. So I think that was for me, I like it was a big progress for me because
Yeah, that's big progress.
I like to run, and having just the number 4, the 4 miles on my progress chart kind of stressed my OCD, and I wanted it to be a 5 so bad that I tried. It was really difficult because I just needed to 4.2 or 4.3, and then I was really exhausted.
Yeah.
Until I tried to hit the 5-mile mark when I slowed down. Actually, I slowed down my jog so I could extend my endurance. For example,
Exactly. Pacing yourself. Pacing is important.
Yes. Well, that's kind of one of the highlights for me for 2021 was I got to reach 5 miles, and maybe, who knows, maybe at the end of 2021, maybe, I don't know, maybe I can get to 10 miles or something, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, it's too much.
Manageable. If it's manageable,
well, it's difficult. Do you think it's good to set goals for ourselves at the beginning of each year?
Okay, I'm gonna answer the first part of the question. I think it is important to set goals because we manage our time, like we hold our time. And so goals are important so that we can see and track our progress and also kind of work towards something and give us this sense of purpose and accomplishment, because I feel like everyone's experienced having or going through the day without any plans, and you just feel like you're floating and you're waiting for something to happen, but like nothing happens, and then you kind of end the day and you're confused because you're like, where did the day go? And so goals make us accountable to our time and kind of help us put our time to the right places, And for the second part of the question, like if it's important to set goals at the beginning of every year, it depends on the person. That's what I'd say, because for some people, they really look forward to the new year as a new start. But for some, I feel like for different people, they have different goals and they're in different places of their lives, and it doesn't have to be constricted to only the New Year's. Like you can set resolutions, or resolutions are basically goals or things you want to change.
Yes.
And so you can set them any time you want. Like if you decide to do it, then if it just clicks, then you go with the motivation and then with the passion that you have, because that will really drive you a good half of the way. And like we said earlier, like discipline will help you carry through with that. So yeah. How about you? What is your take on that? Is it how is setting goals important for you personally?
For me, I set goals every year because I really do not like lazing around the house. That is, it's like I have this drives to always keep moving and do something. And my parents always tell me that if ever I'm bored in one day, I need to find something to do. For example, read a book, finish this book in a day, or go outside, do this for somebody, or something like that. And then I always picture myself being good at something every year, at least one. I need to have one new skill every year. So that's what motivates me to set a goal. 2018, I set a get a job goal, and I did. I got a job. I worked for a year. And then
Mhm.
2019, I told myself that I would enroll and I would learn driving. And I did.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to drive, but
Wow.
it's out there. And then
Mhm.
2020, it's be healthier. And yeah, well, I think I did. I mean, aside from maybe the first half of the year where I just just gained weight because
Naturally.
I was lazy. So that I think is very important. Setting goals is very important so that you could realize just how much you would you gain if you look back each year. Because you need
Like
to
milestones.
Yes, milestones. Because you need to see your progress to motivate you to keep making goals for every year.
And another factor with that is change. And we all know that change is inevitable. And there are certain things that are out of our control. Like, there are also things that are in our control that we can change. So in setting goals, I feel like we should take advantage of that opportunity that we have to take control of the change that we want to happen. But also, there has to be a good balance of knowing the things that you can't really change and kind of accepting that, because I feel like going back to the reasons why we abandon or not fully fulfill the resolutions is because we may be setting goals that are not meant to be reached. If that makes sense. It's like
it does.
Yeah, like if
there's too much
there are
obstacles
things.
for
Yes, I mean there are things that you can change, but will take more than a year, or the end product or the outcome you won't see maybe in the next year, like the year after that. So it's important to just value and celebrate your little victories, because that's still part of, like, you still got up that morning and you still got through the day. And I feel like, especially since we all experienced the madness that it was 2020, I feel like we're more grateful that we can actually just wake up and breathe and live and sleep and then wake up the next day. So yeah.
So out of context, did 2020 ever drive you nuts?
It did. But it's not, it wasn't that bad. But I mean, last year kind of brought back some of the unresolved personal problems and family problems that were maybe buried for so many years because we failed to address it because I don't know, we kind of lacked the time and we kind of just glazed over it. And so yeah, it kind of did drive me nuts in a way. But yeah, that's the only context that I will give.
Okay, well, I think 2020 drove everybody nuts. I mean, everybody. Me, to be honest, it's just well, at least we're still here. Everybody's pushed through.
Yes, we made it to 2021.
Let's just hope it's better this year.
Yeah, I feel like nothing worse can happen. Okay, knock on wood. But I feel like the pandemic is probably the worst thing that could happen. And since we're already experiencing it, I feel like this year is not going to be that bad because we already know that there's a pandemic, and 2020 us did not know that there was a pandemic coming. So 2021 us is better than 2020 us because we know that there's a pandemic and we're living in it right now and we're still surviving.
Yes, and that's trying to make sense in making sense.
Yes, exactly.
I think that wraps it up for our first official episode for Rhyme and Reason. Okay, so that concludes our episode. If you would like to share your New Year's resolutions, write them down in the comment section. Now, hit like and subscribe for more future content. Thank you for listening.